I was recently doing shows in Richmond, Virginia, and if you don't know, Richmond used to be the capital of the Confederacy until they moved it to Florida. And they have dozens of Civil War museums, and then they actually have their own Holocaust memorial, and I think it's their way of being like, we all fuck up sometimes, right, guys? And it's very small. They had like one shoe. So when I was done with that, I went to one of these Civil War museums. It's a real one there. It's called the Civil War Museum, and it's huge. It's got all these exhibits. It's very good. My only complaint with the Civil War Museum, it wasn't quite clear who won the Civil War based on the things they were selling in the gift shop. Like they had a CD for sale where it was a real CD. It was half Union songs, half Confederacy songs, which is like a book called The Diary of Anne Frank and Kanye West. And obviously, I didn't buy the CD. Of course not. What if it slaps? What if the Confederacy had some real bangers in the can? That's like when R. Kelly comes on an old playlist and you're like, I cannot listen to this without headphones, that's for damn sure. Because no one's gonna believe me if I'm like, I like the Confederacy, but only for the music, I swear to God. Do you think R. Kelly is ever sitting in his prison cell and hears Michael Jackson come on the radio and is like, if only I could have danced a little better? My little sister's a big Taylor Swift fan, and she gets cocky about it. The other day she told me, she said, Taylor Swift is more famous than Michael Jackson ever was. And I was like, well, to find that out, she's gonna have to molest some kids. Because there's loving someone's music and there's loving it despite the allegations. Let's see Taylor shake that one off and then we can talk. I was watching a YouTube video a couple months ago called How to Correctly Eat a Mango. Because I'm done fucking around. And before the video, there was one of those ads. You know those ads? I could skip it after 5 seconds, but I ended up watching the whole 13-minute ad. And it's because it was an ad for this charity. It was very moving. It was an ad for this charity that gives reconstructive surgery to babies born with cleft palates. And it was very moving. It bounced around, but it kind of focused on this one baby who was almost adorable. And I was, let me finish. They're the ones raising money for this shit, not me, okay? In fact, I was so moved, I've never done this with a YouTube ad, I went to the link, I donated $5. And they had a little box, you could write the parents, so I was just like, I hope that's enough to close the gap. But, oh, I'm sorry, did you donate $5? Then shut the fuck up and let me finish this joke. Because I spent so long watching it that now all my ads are for cleft palate babies. And it's the same one every fucking time. And I want to help them. I gave $5 if you recall. But sometimes I get home, I just want to watch bloopers from The Office without fucking God's bloopers first. And I didn't know how to make it go away. I deleted my history, didn't work. I changed browsers, didn't work. And then I donated $6 to Planned Parenthood. Baby disappeared. I'm very pro-choice, anti-baby, whatever term you prefer. Even if you're pro-life, and I think it was a mistake coming here tonight, but even if you are, I don't think it's some a victory for making abortion illegal, but only in some states. Because then the only people that you're forcing to become parents are the ones who don't have the resources to travel to a state where abortion is legal. And those aren't the kind of parents you want. Think about, how are you going to be a good mom if you can't even get your kid aborted? We need parents who are willing to go the distance. You couldn't go to Planned Parenthood once, but you're gonna go to all his soccer games? Get the fuck out of here, dude. I think it's backfired on pro-lifers. Because, like, for example, if you're now, after Roe v. Wade got overturned, if you're a member of the US military and you want to get an abortion, but you live in a state where it's illegal, the government has to reimburse you for travel to a state where abortion is legal. I mean, back in the day, you had to go all the way to the Middle East if you wanted to kill a baby on the government's dime. Whenever the Supreme Court comes out with a conservative decision, my girlfriend gets very upset, and so do I, because I have to write a new joke. But my girlfriend, she minored in political science, so she gets philosophical about it. She goes on this rant about, she says the problem is lifetime appointments. She says it's such insanity that America, part of it was leaving the monarchy, yet somehow we have this incredibly important position that once you get it, you just get to hold on to it until you die. And then in the same breath, my girlfriend tells me she wants us to get married someday. And I'm like, baby, don't be such a fascist. I love her, but we've been together almost 4 years. It's time for an election. And don't get me wrong, she has my vote, but after 2 terms, let's get a black woman in there. Give me 4 more years, okay? I'm thinking about my future. Whether I want to stay in America for the rest of my life. I think some of us, we feel that those rumblings. And what's cool about this, I get to travel around the country. I've been to Europe recently. Sometimes I think about that. I was in Montreal, which I really loved. If you've never been to Montreal, there's so many French and English speakers in Montreal that even if you go to like a Starbucks, the barista preemptively will be like, bonjour, hi. And I took 8 years of French in school, so every time I'd be like, bonjour. And they'd be like, comment j'étais pour vous aider? And I was like, well, the jig is up. I was hoping to talk about numbers pretty exclusively, but I will have un frappuccino. I get jealous of Canadians. Because they have universal health care. We just have MrBeast. We all know him by now, famous YouTuber. He made that video, MrBeast. He found 1,000 blind strangers and gave them free corrective eye surgery. Because our health care relies on the Willy Wonka system. Have you seen it? It's very moving. It's basically 1,000 people crying because the first thing they have to see is MrBeast. And people say that he's generous, but I don't know if he films every generous thing that he does. It's kind of pathetic, filming strangers to build up your YouTube following. I just don't think it's a good deed if you film it. You know what I mean? It negates the generosity. If you give a lot of blowjobs for your OnlyFans, you're not generous. You're not. You're a public school teacher, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not a selfless act. I don't even hate MrBeast. I hate that my dad loves MrBeast. Because he's very conservative. I know a lot of conservatives that love MrBeast. It's like they can understand the concept of universal health care, but only when it's presented to them on YouTube. The same way they only support trans people on Pornhub. I am a trans ally, of course. I actually ran to my old college roommate at the airport. I found out that they had recently transitioned. And I was thrilled because I had forgotten their name. I wish everyone I've ever met would transition. I have progressive views, but that doesn't mean I'm a good person. Liberals make that mistake sometimes. I have a more conservative friend, and he has views that really, he's one of those guys, and we all know those guys, who's like, you see this article? No, a trans woman played volleyball, made a little girl explode! And I can't stand that shit, because the kind of guys that complain about trans women playing women's sports are the same kind of guys that told guys like me in high school, you run like a girl, you throw like a girl, and now they're mad because some of us followed through. But I will say, in his defense, he is a wonderful human being, better than I could ever imagine being. I'll tell you a story. Once, me and my conservative friend, we were walking down the street in New York City. In front of us was walking a woman in very high heels. As far as I could tell, she was trans. Now, at some point, this woman, she tripped on her right heel. She fell into the street right as a bus was approaching. And my conservative friend ran into the street, scooped her up just in the nick of time, helped her on her feet, sent her about her way, and then he turned to me and was like, that's why men shouldn't wear heels. It was a lot of things all at once. And I want to be clear, I think that's a shitty thing to do. But if I had been alone, I would have been like, oh no, she's dead! I come from a fucked up family.